Good afternoon, Rotarians, and greetings to the May 29th, 2005 meeting of the Irving Las Colinas Rotary Club. Would you stand as Shane Webb, the Reverend Shane Webb, leads us in our invitation?
All right, that's enough. That's enough. I don't want you to get too ready. We need some prayer. Let's pray. God, we ask that you would be here in our midst. We ask a blessing upon our city. We ask a blessing upon this club, that you would help us to continue with strong leadership and continue to serve this community with compassion. God bless us this day, the food that we will eat. May it nourish both our bodies and our souls. And may you give us the strength and the resilience to serve you with confidence. We ask this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. And Ivan is going to lead us in the pledge.
You place your right hand over your heart. Repeat after me. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you be seated? And Donna, would you come up and introduce our guests? We're going to go through the program before we get into the, we go through the guests and down before we do the roll call.
Good afternoon. Our guests today, we have guests. Tanya York, and she's with the North Texas E Club. Paul Hewitt, and he's an intern at Irving Cares.
All right. With that, announcements, we'll do announcements before we do the program. Rick, would you come up, and Patty, would you come up? First off, for those of you who don't know, Rick's going to give it a recap of the flag program, which I think was pretty successful, with the exception of the service flags, the military service flags at Millennium Fountain were stolen Monday night.
You go, Joe.
Come on, guys. Rick.
Well, what do we do? What do you want?
I'm going about something else.
Oh,
Go.
Go.
Flags.
I can do it. I got to go to Utah, so I was there during the flag program. But I heard that the Millennium Fountain placement went flawlessly due to my absence. So I don't know how to,
Go.
yeah, how do I interpret that, you know? But yeah, all of you guys that worked on it, all of y'all that put out flags, where's Donna? I think Donna and Joey, didn't y'all put out flags and everybody? So thank you, thank you, thank you. I was fishing in the mountain snow up above. I'd fish for a second, my phone would buzz, and I've been saying something funny about bring me a bacon, egg, and cheese and a coffee. But it was a great Memorial Day flag placement. Mr. President, we're at $82,000. So we had yeah. So 82 is what we did last year. We're down about 200 flags, which I anticipated, but due to the fact we went up on price, we are hitting our goal, which should give us, President-elect Laura should give us money for you to have a healthy budget, similar to what we've had. So a lot of good work there. I will tell you this. Charla sent me a message. She's the lady that's coordinating. She sent me a message and about mid-morning there, and she said, well, one of the teams quit. I said, quit? And they just got started. She said, yeah, they said this is too hard. So all of y'all that put out flags, it's hard work. And so she'll get that replaced. And as far as I know, it all went smooth. And we are still selling flags. We're going to take 5 into 70, which is 14. We're going to send out a card that says get the next 4 placements at 4 times 14. And so we're gonna continue to try to reach probably 1,500 flags. So thank you for the time.
Thank you all for the hard work. Robert also, thank you. Woo. Now, Rick said that he was fly fishing in Utah. I have it on good account that he was in a hot tub with a ski bunny. That's his story and my story. Patty,
Well, yes.
I think all of you all know that Rotary International does not permit us to be political. And I think that's a real good thing. That served us well. However, as Rotarians, we are expected to participate in with our civic responsibility. I want to urge each of you, if you live in Irving, I want to urge you to vote in this city election.
Runoff.
Early voting has started, and this election is a runoff for place 2 at large on the Irving City Council. Early voting is at City Hall, the Arts Center, and Valley Ranch Library. And then that will go through next Tuesday, and then election day is Saturday, June 7th. So all I'm saying is please be informed and vote. It's critical to our city. Thank you very much.
Yeah, if you want to know who to vote for, it's about the me.
so, one of the things about flags, stick to truth. We will have to have one more flag building session between now and the 4th of July. I cleaned up flags, Tuesday. I expect there'll be more Saturday. We've got a little bit of extra, but not much. And we're kind of, Rick sold all these flags that we're gonna need to build flags, but we're not, I can't announce that yet because we don't have the flags in our hands yet. To build, so as we do, we'll let you. Huh?
You don't have to have a flag game.
Yes, we do have enough for flag day.
Okay.
I think we do have enough for flag day. Now, calendar. There's no meeting here next Thursday because we have our social next Tuesday at Cielitos at 5:30. All our guests, please, you're invited to be here. Our next meeting will be in this place on June the 12th. Okay? And Terry, you're up.
Wow.
Thank you for being here this afternoon. It's great to see you. I've been out for a minute, but glad to be back. Thank you. Our speaker today is Dani, and she's from C5, Texas. And she's going to tell you about all the great things going on with the youth in our district area. Okay, come on up, Dani.
Thank you.
Well, thank you all for having me today. I'm appreciative. Let me stay in front of the camera so others can see me. My name is said Dani Bethune. I'm with C5 Texas. I'm the executive director. I've been in that role for the past 6 years, and it's been a joy. Just the other day, I was able to see one of my babies who graduated from the class of 2024 is going into the Air Force. And so it's just a beautiful sight to see young people ready to fulfill their dreams. He's going to be an air traffic controller for the Air Force. So super excited for him. I'm going to wait to get my presentation and we'll see it. But I was going to start us off with a quick icebreaker. And the icebreaker is, if you had $1 million, which is the question that we ask our young people, what would you do with it? And you can just kind of blurt out your answers. You have $1 million. What's the first thing you're going to do with it? And it cannot be personal. So it can't be, I'm going to buy a house or a car. It has to be something else. What would you do with $1 million? For people. Anybody else?
Scholarships for kids.
Scholarships for kids. Anyone else?
Food.
Food, that's a great one. Anyone else?
Research, cancer, Alzheimer's.
Alzheimer's, yes. And so we ask this question to young people, especially young people who come from under-resourced communities. We always ask this question to them because we want them to think outside of themselves. Because the first thing they're gonna say is that they buy shoes or they get, a big house or something like that. And what we're really trying to do in C5 is teach them the art and the understanding to believe in your community and to understand that everything that you're participating in is a part of the community. So C5 Texas, just go 2 slides over. All right. We were actually started by Coca-Cola a long time ago. So the CEO of Coke, his name was John Owen, he had a ranch out in Wyoming. And so what he would do, he would take young people out to the ranch out of Los Angeles County, USD, and they would go horseback riding and kayaking and canoeing and hiking and all these really fun things. And so they asked, Coca-Cola noticed it and asked and said, why are you doing this? Why are you always taking kids out to your ranch? He was like, for exposure. He was like, these kids are typically living in a concrete jungle. He was like, they never get a chance to see just the fresh, to breathe in fresh air, to be able to see horses or to participate in these activities. He said, I also want to provide opportunities to kids that don't have the same opportunities as my children. And so they started C5 in Los Angeles. And then from there, we have locations in Atlanta, Boston, Dallas, and then LA. We don't have our site in St. Louis anymore. In 2006, they incorporated each of us in our cities. And then in 2008, they released us and said, go forth and do the work that we started you all to do. The reason why there is even a Coca-Cola Foundation, it is because of C5. The start of that is what started the foundation. And so in 2023, we actually celebrated 20 years of being a nonprofit because we graduated our first class of leaders in 2008. Go to the next slide. So the mission of our organization is to change the odds for high potential youth, inspiring them to pursue personal success in college, work, in their communities. So I always tell people, we are a hand up, not a hand out organization. So what that means is that everything that we do, it is reciprocal. So the same way we are pouring into young people, they're required to pour back into the work of our organization and the work of themselves. So there is nothing that they do, they just get. Everything that they are doing, they are earning it and they're earning it for themselves. It's not for our benefit. And we have to tell them that the things that we're teaching you, it's not for our benefit. It's not going to help me graduate out of high school. It's not going to get me in college. It's not going to get me in the military. It's not going to get me anywhere. But what is the impact that it is going to have on you and your own future? And so what are we? We are a 5-year youth leadership development program. And so we actually recruit kids from across the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And these kids will participate in our program because we're teaching them how to model the 5 C's. And so every C in our C5 is connected to something we're trying to make sure they learn. So the first year, we're teaching young people how to be character driven. The second year is about them being community focused. The third year is about them being challenge ready. 4th year, college and career bound. And the 5th year is committed to a better future. And we do that by focusing on these things here: leadership development, college and career exploration, community action, social awareness, and their own personal development. Next slide. And so we recruit only 7th graders. So you have to be a 7th grader in our program to apply. We typically look for B, C average students. So we're not looking for A students because we feel like they're on track and they're going to be fine. We don't necessarily look for D students because we feel like they need additional support that maybe our organization isn't the one they need. But we are looking for the kids that oftentimes are sitting in the middle of the classroom and don't say anything, but maybe sometimes are barely doing their schoolwork, sometimes do their schoolwork, maybe paying attention, but no one pays attention to the kids in the middle. We look for 1st generation college students, so whether they're your mother, their father who've never been, or both. They may be on free or reduced lunch. Also, kids that are living in single parent and multi-generational households, and kids that are able to take on the challenge of being in the program. There's a lot of physical things they are required to do as a part of our program, so they need to be able to do that. We look to receive about 200 applications. So we typically work with the middle schools that have an AVID program. Has anybody ever heard of AVID?
Yeah.
So we typically work with that program because those are kids that are looking to go to college, looking to start a future for themselves, but need additional support. But we also take seventh graders from just around the area. So we have kids who live in Irving, Crowley, Hurst, Grand Prairie, Irving, Arlington, Dallas. But another reason why we do that is, I think you all know this too, is that there's a thing we call a community and also a network. And we know that your network is your net worth. And so for us, it is an opportunity for young people who may be living in Dallas to say they have a friend in Fort Worth, to say they have a friend in Arlington, to say they have a friend who lives out in Irving, or a friend that lives out in Irving or Crowley. They get the opportunity to kind of brag in a way that they otherwise wouldn't get a chance to do that. And this is going to play and serve them well later on in the programs. Out of the 200 applications that we look to receive, we will select, it says 72 students. That is if we have all the money in the world to do the program the way we want to. We typically will accept 50 applications out of the 200 that we may receive. So we're very strategic too about the type of young people that we're selecting for the program. Next slide, please. And so the way it works, a young person will apply for the program. They'll submit an application. Most times, these young people are being nominated by a teacher, a counselor, or principal, someone like that at the school that believes this kid can use the support. Once that young person applies, they will also submit a report card and a letter of recommendation to our program. Every child that submits a letter, this application, they will participate in a group and an individual interview. So we will go on their school campus, we'll do group interviews because we're trying to see how do they kind of act in community, especially with kids they may not know. Just because these kids all go to school together, it doesn't mean they all know one another. So seeing how are they working with one another within that community, and then an individual interview to see if they would be ready really to go to camp. Then once we do that, all the applications are reviewed by staff and alumni of the program, and we then work to then select students. All of the students are notified by April. So we start recruiting kids in July. We will recruit kids from July until about February is when our applications will look to close. And that's when all the interviewing and the selecting, and then in April, we inform them that they are ready to go. They attend a leadership conference with us and a parent orientation, and then they start the journey of being in our program. For kids that don't get accepted, we definitely provide them with other resources. Just sometimes they're just not a good fit, and that's not a bad thing. We are trying to build community, and trying to show people how to do that too. Next slide. And so how do we impact our leaders? 100% of our young people graduate from high schools within, so two of our largest school districts, it's about an 83 and 85% graduation rate. 100% of our kids will either go to college, the military, be in some type of employment, trade, or certification, because we do make sure they have post-secondary plans, and we're monitoring that with them every month. Over 90% of them will be the first in their families to go to college. And then we always work to build 21st century leadership skills, because we know that young people need to know how to communicate. They have a hard problem with conflict resolution. Many of them are not socialized enough. They're not active listeners. And it is very hard for them to be problem solvers if we never give them the opportunity to think. And I tell people about our program, we are a thinking program. So we do not tell young people what to do. We encourage them to think about the solution to come up with the problem. A quick example of that is that we do a theater challenge. They have 24 hours to recreate a movie based on our 5 C's. We watch them fuss and fight and argue. And it is hard for adults because we want to immediately tell them, be quiet and stop fighting. Nope. We let them do it for about 5 to 7 minutes. We then say, hey, let's take a pause. Now, what can we do better as we're moving forward? We let them figure that out amongst themselves. We allow them to set the rules and expectations for the group. And then after that, they use that to move forward. And then the plays are terrible. So I'm not gonna make you think that the plays are amazing. They're not, they're bad. It's okay though, because it's not about the play being good or bad. It's really about the skills that they had to use to get to a place from nowhere to somewhere as a group. Next slide for me. Thank you. So how does our program work? So what happens is every summer, we take our young people on a signature summer experience tied back to our 5 Cs. So the first summer, they spend 21 days in Colinas, Texas, no cell phone, out in the country. Parents can't get to you, but they are doing all the traditional summer camp things. The summer camp is just a backdrop to what we're really teaching, and that is leadership. So they're going through a lot of activities during the day, curriculum, but also learning how to build community. So they live in cabins with one another. They set rules. They are responsible for maintaining the camp campus. Our second year students are responsible for doing a lot of the activities that we do at camp. The second summer, they come back to camp for 21 days. And they will be there, just like the other young people, but now we have 2 groups of kids that are together, rising 8th and 9th graders. The third summer, they go on a hiking trip in the Grand Tetons for 7 days, carrying about 30% of their body weights on their backs, while also trying to navigate how to get to the top of the summit. The fourth summer, they curate their own Road to College tour, so they're provided a budget that they use to then figure out where they want to go. This year, they started off with about $20,000. That's how much they started off with. Because of funding limitations, they are down to $5,000. They had to figure out how to do this tour, starting from $15,000 to now about $5,000, right? Because that's what happens in life too. You think you're gonna have money, the next thing you know, you don't have it, you have to adjust yourself. And then we also, in our last year, we have something called the Actively Changing Tomorrow Now Summit. That is where young people will spend 7 days on the campus of UT Dallas, researching a community issue. This year, they are doing teen drug use and the root causes of that issue. And then they're working with other community organizations to work to find a solution. During the school year, we have a really big focus on pathways, which are on college, career, community service, and leadership. So from September until April, young people will come to us on Saturdays. They're typically with us from 8 o'clock in the morning till about 6 o'clock in the evening. And we are doing different activities. The one that we do is a college treasure hunt on the campus of TCU and UTA. So they get a chance to see a private school and a public school. They do a scavenger hunt using our 5 Cs. And then we give them like Lego plates and bricks, and they have to create their own dream college. Because we're trying to get them used to the environment. Because for many of them, they go on to college. Some of them have never even seen the college before they've gotten there. They just show up. So how do we help them work to feel comfortable about the environment they're going to be in? Next slide. And then we end our event with the Leadership Summit at the end of the program. It is a full day conference focused on college, career, community service, leadership, arts, and culture. For young people, we always have speakers come in and we do a career speed dating event. So we'll be in a room like this. We have people from lesser known careers because every child wants to be a doctor and a lawyer. And the only reason why is because they don't think that you can live a good life in any other careers. They just don't know any better. So we try to introduce them to careers that you can still have a wonderful life. And not have to be a doctor or a lawyer, but that's the first thing every child says. And so ultimately, many of them will not become that. So how do we introduce them to the careers that really better fit their personality and their needs and their education? And then here's one of our C5 leaders. She graduated from the class of 2024. She is now at UT Dallas. She was majoring in graphic arts. She was a student within Dallas ISD, but the only reason why she was at UT Dallas is because we took her there. We gave her the opportunity to see the campus. She was there for 7 days. She enjoyed it so much. She applied. She's at UTD. But I have other good stories. I have a young gentleman who's at Yale. I have a young girl who's on at Vanderbilt, a young boy who's at the University of Rochester, kids at Texas A&M. So we are encouraging and helping young people who otherwise would never think to go to some of these schools to build the confidence to believe they can go anywhere they want to, but also giving them the skills to be able to stay there. Kids go to college and they're homesick. Why? Because the only community that they know is their family. They don't know anybody else, so they're homesick. They're ready to come back to the house after a semester because they feel like they can't make it on their own. If you give young people skills and confidence to know that actually when you get to school, you can build your own community, they become more successful. Many of the kids drop out of school is because of financial and they don't know how to manage time. We are teaching young people how to do that as a part of our program. I have a quick video, next time, just wait. I have a quick video to show you too of like a program that we do, but we do require all of our kids to maintain a 2.5 GPA. They have to volunteer at least 40 hours of community service every year. That increases By the time they graduate from our program as a senior, they have to have 75 hours a year and volunteer hours. We do monthly check-ins with our young people, so we're checking their grades, their attendance, and their mental health. But at the same time, if you are flunking algebra, why? That was not studying. Oh, okay, so then what's the solution? And then we allow them to be advocates for themselves. Because how many kids don't like to ask for help? A million. How many adults don't like to ask for help? Everybody. So we're teaching them how to do that. They are required to attend our summer experiences and our pathways. And so let me start this video before I set up the video. Every summer, every school year, we take 4 kids from each one of our C5 locations, and they basically do C5 on steroids. So this is a video from that event.
It was a real good test. I didn't hear anything.
Okay, well, just look at the pictures and imagine. Where's the volume coming from?
There's no speakers. So we're not plugged into it. I didn't know we were.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Well, listen, let me compensate why they're working. They are in Atlanta, Georgia. They're actually volunteers for Trees Atlanta. So even though they're not in their home city, no matter where they go, they can give back. So teaching young people that no matter what community you are in, when you go off to college, you have an opportunity to give back to any community that may be a part of you because you're a part of it. It was hot outside too, but it's Atlanta in like October. And like I said, all of these kids are coming from across the nation. So there are kids from LA and Atlanta, Boston and Texas who are kind of coming together. We call them C5 cousins. They also go on social awareness trips. So they go to either like the Civil Rights Museum in Atlanta. They will visit other museums while they're there. They'll also do college tours while they're in Atlanta as well. And then they also get a chance to connect with executives from across Coca-Cola and their network. So our young people are able to talk to CEOs, share LinkedIn information, and potentially work to get an internship with folks that otherwise would get the opportunity to be a part of. We also have a national golf tournament. There's a fundraiser that we put on, and so every site will end up with a portion of funds from that event. We also make them go hiking while they're there, because why not? They have to do it any other year. So it's no difference, but you're also exposing kids that typically wouldn't be outside to the outdoors. And that's something that we also want to make sure young people have. We're going to stop the video. I'm going to go to my next slide. And then I'm going to open it up for questions. Beautiful. All right. Well, that is the 5 textbooks. I appreciate you all today and allowing me to be here. Any questions?
You
Yes.
mentioned you address the mental health conditions. Y'all have certified technicians or representatives that join y'all's team to.
So we're all use mental health first aid certified ourselves. Then we work with outside organizations to support us. So when those kids do a monthly check-in, they self-report their grades and their attendance and their mental health. We do tell them whatever we read, we will report back to the parents, or if you need additional support. So as we get those that come in, we call them to see what's going on. If they need further help, we give them resources for that support. Yes, ma'am.
Besides the golf tournament, where do you get your funding?
Everywhere. So of course, we, individual donations, corporations, of course, we apply for grants, we have special events. We do t-shirt sales, calendar sales, cookie sales. I mean, anything you can think of, we are doing to raise money because the program is free to the kids. They don't have to pay anything. And as you know, as you can imagine, it's expensive. I mean, our budget is about $870,000. 60% of that goes towards summer. So like even this summer, they're getting a revised version of all of this. So they're not going for 7 days on the road to college tour, they're going for 4. The Act Now Summit, it is happening for 7 days, but some of it is virtual and it's not overnight. We've had to adjust just because of fundraising issues. This program here is all nonprofits are going through the same thing. But like we told our national office, they're still going to get the same program quality that we provide. I saw a hand over here. Yes, sir.
So C5 Texas, heard you refer to national, heard you talk about numbers. What was the number of total students impacted in the US? That's the first part of the question.
Okay.
The second part is what limits y'all from expanding to help adult size?
So it is 4 locations. It's Boston, Atlanta, DFW, C5 Texas, and Los Angeles. Amongst all 4 of our sites right now, we're probably serving about 1,200 kids at all of our sites. What keeps us from being able to grow is typically funding. Because for a C5 to get started in another community, they need at least 2 million just to go into the community before they even get started. Because and then they also need to be able to build school partnerships, because a lot of our kids, we're working with school districts in order to recruit the kids we're looking for. And so you need those 2 things to kind of expand. For us, just even locally, I would love to take 72 kids. I really would love to take 100 kids at one time. We just don't have the funding to do that. It costs us about $3,500 per child per year to support. And when you're taking kids to summer camp, they don't pay for 3 weeks overnight. That's expensive. To take them hiking, we have to fly them to either Salt Lake City or Denver, Colorado. We then have to drive them from Salt Lake City or wherever it's to base camp. That's an 8-hour drive on a charter bus. That charter bus will cost you about $15,000 alone. They stay there for 7 days. We gotta get them back. And then back on the plane and then back home. So just summer is expensive. The typical school year, we probably spend about $50,000 just for all of the programming and sessions that we provide from September until April. So it's just summer that kicks our butt, and we're raising dollars, but just not enough.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I forgot your name already. Danny. I'm gonna give you a Rotary Challenge coin. It has on the back of it, it's the service book, note on the back, it has a 4-way test of the thing we think, say, and do. And is it the truth is #1. That's the #1 thing, because that's a hard commodity to come by. It's an amazing program, an amazing program. Thank you. Thank you for that. And Irving had something along those lines, not nearly that extensive, but we took 8 students to Rilo Camp Sunday, and we're going after them tomorrow. And it's $1,000 a head for a week to go down there. So, they were fun kids on the way down. There they are. That's the picture we took. And that includes the group from, the Sunrise Club. So
12 in total between the 2 clubs.
12, 8 and 4 between the 2 clubs, okay?
How old do they have to apply for what?
They have to be juniors.
In high school?
It has to, they graduate their end of their junior year, and then they, it's a leadership camp, and they're down there for a week, and they go to Camp
Hezbollah.
in Midlothian, which is a Salvation Army camp, and it is the 4 seasons of camps. It is an exceptionally nice facility. And in fact, some of you may not know, but you know that the cable series The Chosen is being filmed at that same place. So, and we'll go down after them tomorrow.
Where's the application? How do you
You have to apply through your Rotary club.
apply to?
Yeah,
And it's,
But how many kids total go to Camp Ride?
180 roughly. We had one that Shane found out Saturday was not going to be able to go, that we had selected. So we went to one of the ones that said that there would be an alternate, and she went. And we were a little concerned because she's from Guatemala and no habla English muy bien. And so we're hoping that she's had a good experience.
She has. I've been checking in every day
Oh, yeah?
because her parents are asking every day.
Because, you can really feel comfortable with this group of leadership. Shane and I have gotten to know them, and I know Max knows them. This is a really dedicated group of adults that run this Ride camp. And most of the people in leadership are former RILA students that have been involved in this program for 10 or 15 or 20 years. And then some of our own students, particularly one, Isaiah, the tall, black kid from MacArthur, was a counselor this year. And everybody in my van, or in my flex, when we went down there, says, "Where's Isaiah? I'm looking for him. I'm looking for him because he's out after me." So, it's really fun.
He also recruited all the students from MacArthur.
He recruited all the students from MacArthur. Last year, we only had 3 students that applied.
Yeah.
And this year, I don't know how many had, but we had,
At least 7.
yeah, we sent 6, so it was good. All right. Ms. Caperton, would you come up and lead us in the 4-way test of the things we think Sarah do?
Could I please do it from here?
You may, and would everybody please stand in honor of her?
And join me in reciting the 4-way test of the things Rotarians think, say, or do. First.
Is it true?
Second.
Is it fair? It's all concern.
Third.
Will it build will better?
Fourth.
Will it lead all concern?
And with that, we are going to be adjourned. If you've not finished your meal, we still have time, so don't feel rushed. And remember, next Tuesday is the social.